on one hand, I just want to express gratitude to God because I keep finding myself in these situations where I'm interviewing and having personal interactions with guys that have tremendously shaped my worldview. And Chris is one of them. We have to go back to Dallas after this, but I flew up to Moscow Sunday.
Good morning, Reverend Ned Brock.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
But this is our last, well, you guys gotta go back to it.
Right.
So your talk, you wanted to call it Against the Recreational Household. Tease that out a little bit.
Well, essentially, we don't think of the household as productive, and that was what actually was the reason for its institution. Households were brought into being because of their productive capacities. So now we think about it as simply a place to retreat to at the end of the day. Now, households always provided shelter. They always provided a place for you to spend, free time with family and friends and stuff like that. So it's not as though that wasn't a part of the story. It's just that that's all they do now. I mean, people don't even make their own dinners anymore, in most cases.
I'm guilty. Although I made breakfast for them this morning.
But we live in such a hyper-productive sort of corporate world that households have become kind of moribund and redundant, and people don't think about them in any other way. And I think that where we're seeing the effects of that are actually in places we didn't expect. So with regard to your relationship to your wife, one of the reasons why feminism emerged is because the household lost its significance as a productive endeavor. And so women, you have the stereotypical 50s housewife sitting around eating bonbons and watching soap operas.
Right.
That wasn't what her mother did. That wasn't what her grandmother did. For generations prior to that, a woman's day was a busy day full of productive activity, and many times that productive activity took her into the community to work with other women on common projects. So there was a lot of things that were lost with the Industrial Revolution and sort of the downgrading of households to recreation centers. So now, you have these enormous homes with fewer people living in them.
You're right, yeah.
And everything is an entertainment sort of, every room has an entertainment device or a way to distract you from, household life and interacting with other people. So I do think what we need to do is bring back productive activity back into the household, in part to do the things that the recreational household was supposed to do but doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
So I've got great relationships with all of my family members, in large part because there's always something we're working on together. It's stuff that is connecting us to the larger world in some different ways.
The kind of core question we've been asking is why work matters.
Well, because God works. I think what's been lost in the modern era is the integration of work and home life. That was the way human beings lived, in agricultural societies, but also in small community life forever until the Industrial Revolution. So what we experience now is the anomaly.
Yeah.
So if you look, back at the first century, the only places where anything remotely like what we think of being the case would be in the military or the priesthood.
Right.
So those were like the professions that required you to be away from home.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise, the work came to you, or the whole family went with the work.
Yeah.
So the work provided the structure and the glue that held things together. So, when we went away from that, then we had to reinvent the household, and it became more of a means for like self-actualization and affection to be expressed. Now those things were always happening, but they were more or less things that were occurring alongside the nuts and bolts of just daily life. So you just didn't think I got to have some me time or let's have some family time. No, you'd do stuff, when at the end of the day, you're just, you're all worn out and you're sitting on the front porch,
Yeah.
or whatever. But in the course of the day, there's just stuff that had to get done, and you're doing it, and you're doing it together, and that's the environment in which fathers and sons were relating to each other. So now Dad comes home at the end of the day. Kids don't know what's been going on with Dad. They have no clue what he does. He just magically appears with money, or just magically has money for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas kids in the past would have known exactly what Dad was doing during the day. They'd watch it, and they knew Dad, could turn a buck just by watching him maybe, haggle. Hi, I'm C.R. Wiley, and I really would love to see you at the Workspace Conference in Fort Worth, Texas, at the end of June.